One of my favorite game series of all time is Prince of Persia, and ever since the announcement of Sands of Time remake, I've been craving for a classic Prince of Persia adventure. I was very skeptical about the new Lost Crown game as it looked way different to the classic Prince of Persia I grew up with, but had to give it a try since it's my favorite franchise. So here we are, trying to platinum Prince of Persia The Lost Crown and see if it's any good. I wanted to double check if there was any buggy or missable trophy, so I went to the trusty trophy guide page to check out that trophy list. This game has a total of 31 trophies, of which there are 11 bronze, 14 silver, 5 gold and that shining platinum. Everything looked very straightforward, so we wasted no time starting the game. The story starts with this battle between the Persian and the Kushan empires, and the Kushans have the upper hand. The tide of the battle changes quickly as the Immortals, who are the super elite warriors of Persia, arrive on the battlefield. We play as Sargon, one of the Immortals, and have to fight through a wave of enemies as we are joined by our allies. This level serves as an introduction to the basics of combat, which is really fun, but more on that later. We battle against the Kushan general and defeat him with ease, saving Persia. Everyone's impressed with our battle skills, and we meet the queen and the prince, who soon gets kidnapped by Anahita, who's our mentor. We follow her trail leading to the mystical Mount Qaf, which is home to the god of time, Simorgh. We deduce that perhaps Anahita is after Simorgh's power and has kidnapped the prince to gain entrance to the temple, which is only open to the members of the royal family. We see a corpse of one of our allies who came searching for the prince not long ago, and the vibe becomes hostile. All our allies make a team and leave us behind, which was low-key sad. We are introduced to some basic parkour and whack trees, which are like a safe spot, and meet Fariba, who says she's been living up here for quite a while now. She gives us a map and this eye, which is a handy tool to save a mini screenshot of the areas which are hiding a secret or a treasure in case we want to go back to them later. The map was fairly open at the start, so I accidentally made it to the depths area, which comes later in the story, and ended up getting my ass kicked a lot. We see Anahita take the prince and are stopped by this floating orb, which must be destroyed before moving ahead. Neith, our ally, suggests getting help from Menelaus, who has a bow. After some traversal, we meet this old lady who's Fariba's grandmother and who can sell us some healing potion related upgrades and some amulets as well. Up next, we discover this hidden room which has an urn and a wall that shows a prophecy each time we find and break an urn. This is a side quest to unveil the whole prophecy wall. Well folks, since this is a classic Ubisoft title, we have to complete this quest line in order to get 2 grand related trophies. We meet Artaban next, who's another one of our gang members. He has chosen to give up exploring Mount Qaf and he decides to help us out by training us further. We can learn some new moves by completing his challenges and earn some easy time crystals. I think I should talk about this game's combat here, which is just perfect and super fun. We can pull off various combos which can be chained together with different time related abilities which we unlock as we progress through the story. For evading upcoming attacks from the enemies, we can perform a parry or can dash through and can sometimes perfect parry certain enemy moves to one-shot them in a super cool animation. We also have these powerful moves known as Athra Surges, which can unleash to perform one-shot kill in most cases. I love how anime-like different Athra Surges feel. There are a total of 10 Athra Surges and there is a trophy for performing all of them. The game also has this amulet system where we can equip different amulets depending on the slot capacity to gain different perks, and of course there's another trophy here for collecting all the different amulets in the game. While traversing through the lower city area, we come across another one of Ardashir's men who's in a dying state and tells us that around 30 years of time has passed for him in a single night. He asks us to take his insignia and free all his comrades who came here in search of the prince. Well, this is another side quest and of course we have some trophies tied to it. Progressing further, we fight a mini boss of sorts who was not that tough. We make it to the forest area next where we see a little kid and come across this whack tree which has a floating head which we can chat to. And again folks, we have another collectible trophy here for talking to all the different whack heads in the game. We come across another soldier who's been stuck here for 30 years and doesn't have any idea about the passage of time. He requests us to find his brothers in arms, a task we must complete since we need to complete all the side quests in order to unlock a trophy. We find and free one of his friends and also come across one of Ardashir's men who was like a mini boss like enemy. Defeating him unlocks our first trophy. Up next, we fight a big boar in the forest and find a dead body of ourself. Wait, what? Next to the body, we also find Menelaus's bow and we take it, which unlocks some new areas to progress further. Soon we end up meeting him and turns out he still has his bow, which confuses Sargon. He tells us about this ability of the bow where it converts into a chakram, which again unlocks some new areas. I really liked both the bow and the chakram as they complement each other well, and when you're low on arrows, you can just throw the chakram to help get those combos. Also, chakram becomes a god level tool later on in the game. Anyway, we complete the standard soldiers questline and meet Kahiva, the blacksmith goddess in the Haven area, who has a small request for us and can help us upgrade our weapons and different amulets. Moving along, thanks to the bow, we destroy the floating orb which was blocking the path ahead. We are proceeding towards the upper levels of the city when we are stopped in a Colosseum-like area by a lion, dragon, scorpion, chimera-like creature called Jahandar, who we have to fight. I think it's a good first boss as it's not super difficult but can be just a bit tricky at times since we don't have enough health points. Most of his attacks can be dodged, and I love that all the bosses do this yellow attack which can be perfectly parried, resulting in a sick animation and an opportunity to get some more hits on them. Defeating Jahandar gets us our second trophy. After beating him, we find a feather and grabbing it sort of bends time and gives us some new abilities. We can now wall run anywhere. Yay! The parkour, or should I say platformer, side of challenges get really interesting once this ability is unlocked, and some of these sections can be really tricky. We see Anahita again, who has progressed up in the mountain, and Varham, the leader of the immortals, tells us to stay on their chase and rendezvous at the Simog gate. Moving to the sacred archive area, we see this strange time jailer like creature who kind of feels like the snatchers from Bloodborne and can throw us in a prison cell. We also meet this guy who has a crazy obsession with finding moons, and we need to help him out because of obvious reasons. Although I ran through a slight hiccup here and the game just hung up on me and I couldn't do shit. Well folks, this is because of a bug which is totally not common in Ubisoft games. Upon researching a bit about it, I figured that if we switch off our controller, it fixes the issue. However, without me having to do that, the bug fixed itself somehow. Anyway, we proceed further and see another version of ourselves who's on his own quest and has some of Simog's power. He's after our abilities, so we have to fight him. This fight was super fun, and defeating him unlocks a new Athra Surge and our next trophy. I was finally a bit more confident about my newfound abilities, so I ventured into the depths, where I found this creature which seemed impossible to fight, at least for now. So I backtracked all the way to the top and proceeded with the story instead. We see this old man meditating who seems to know us already and unlock Air Dancer for killing 30 enemies in air. The combat here really reminds me of the good old games like Devil May Cry or God of War, where we can juggle the enemies. We finally catch up with Anahita and Varham jumps in and kills the prince, which was quite a surprise, and we end up saving Anahita and have to fight Varham now. Gosh, this fight was so good. I love how Varham reminded me of Virgil from Devil May Cry, and it low-key had the same vibes as when you see Virgil for the first time in Devil May Cry 3. He can parry our attacks, block our arrows, can teleport mid-air, and obviously has that katana sheathing animation. I think the thing about this game which I love the most is the overall anime-esque stylized look. I mean, just look at this. It was legit giving me that feeling I was playing a Bleach-like anime game. I swear they can collaborate with an anime franchise and make a great anime game. Enough with my ranting. Varham shows off his time rewind power and throws us from the top. Somehow we survive the fall and wake up in the sewer area, and the old man we met earlier runs off with our map. We meet this shady looking dealer in the depths who can sell us amulets that act like a blessing and a curse, similar to the corrupted bone charm in the Dishonored games. Damn, even I feel that I'm throwing too many references in this video. Anyway, the real challenge in terms of the difficulty starts in the depths, where the enemies are more dangerous and the traps are trickier thanks to poison. We come across another version of Sargon, and beating him gets us another surge ability and a new Simorg power, which lets us create a crystal shadow and we can teleport back to it anytime. This ability is super fun to use as we can create a quick shadow to dodge attacks, perform another Athra wave, and of course teleport back to places if we fail a jump. We catch up to the old man who informs us that there is a chance to reverse time and save Hassan, but it requires making a bargain with an evil god. We come across Neith again, who asks us if we killed Hassan and tells us that Varham lied to everybody about us killing the prince, and now the rest of the immortals are after us. A good chunk of the new areas are now unlocked thanks to our new abilities, and I was trying to clear up all the previous areas and parkour challenges I had missed collecting different treasures, amulets, progressing through side quests, and of course, breaking prophecy jars. An amazing thing about this game is that every area feels fresh as we get introduced to new abilities which come with more environmental challenges, and the game has a great variety of enemies and mini bosses who kept me on my toes throughout the journey. Each area has a unique look and feel, and that background score which is just in the forest area, we meet the little kid we saw earlier, who's also called Varham. What a strange coincidence. We also unlock Shock Trooper for killing 20 enemies with an opportunity attack, and natural resources for collecting 5 silver ores which are used to upgrade weapons. Up next we encounter the forest queen demon, who again was a great boss. She was really challenging to beat as she had different phases and felt like a boss. I was kinda underleveled at the time, so I returned to her after some quick leveling up. It's great that the bosses utilize all the different abilities in our arsenal and feel like a true test of that parkour and combat combo, and I loved the overall tone and score of the fight. It really felt dark, reminding me of Warrior Within. Defeating her unlocks another trophy and the Dimensional Claw ability. This is my favorite ability in the game, as we can tear open a time space to catch different enemy projectiles and even enemies and throw them at each other. Oh, and we can also throw enemies into different traps, killing them instantly, which was super fun. It really made me feel like an anime boss character. We unlock Betrayal next for eliminating an enemy with the Dimensional Claw ability and meet this pirate captain who had a side quest for us, but the game bugged out on me again. Luckily, turning off the controller trick worked here. Boy, was this side quest tough for me, as I really suck at platformers. We saved his parrot and completed his quest, unlocking some hidden treasure locations and all the time in the world for earning 10,000 time crystals. We see Orod, the big guy, who challenges us for a duel, which we can't access yet. Backtracking my way through, I made it to the pit of the Eternal Sands, which was a challenging yet fun area. The only thing I disliked about the game so far was that the parkour challenges can get super frustrating because in certain areas we don't get any checkpoints and have to start over from far away, and the hitboxes really didn't help out. I think it's more of a me problem, as again I'm not that great with platformers. Up next we fight off the evil snake god who can help us rewind time to save Hassan. By this time I had unlocked this level 3 Athra Surge, which transforms us to Super Saiyan, and we can zap through the area super fast, which was a lifesaver in this boss fight. Beating the snake gets us another trophy and the double jump ability. The snake gives us 4 arrows and tells us to hunt down 4 celestial guardians which can help us rewind time. We quickly dispatch the nearest celestial guardian, and I started completing all the backlogs thanks to the new double jump ability, collecting treasures, amulets and jars. While in combat section, I unlocked Deadly Trap randomly for eliminating 5 enemies by throwing them into traps. We go ahead and fight the big guy at the Frozen Sea area, which legit felt tough. Man oh man, the amount of times he would catch me off guard with his Athra Surge ability was insane. The second phase of the fight got even worse with his new Surge ability, and I didn't realize that I could catch his tornado attack with my Dimensional Claw. Anyway, we both went Super Saiyan and ended the clash with an epic finisher, earning us another trophy and shooting down another Celestial Guardian. Up next we fight Menelaus, which felt like Piccolo versus Android 17 from Dragon Ball Z. We learn how to perform a Kamehameha from him and defeat him, unlocking another trophy. We shoot down another star and get the ability to throw a chakram and teleport to its location, which changes the whole game and pushes that amazing parkour and combat one step further and made all those previous parkour challenges a child's play. While on our way to the next star, we meet the architect of this place and also meet Anahita again, who tells us it was all Queen's idea to kidnap Hassan and she was only following orders. After shooting all the stars, we make it back to the time when Varham is about to kill the prince and save him. We team up with ourselves and have to fight off Varham, which is the same fight as before, but just a bit easier thanks to our new found abilities. Defeating him gets us another trophy. While clashing swords with him, we break the Dimensional Rift, which shows a flashback of his origins and that he's the true Prince of Persia and the son of King Darius, who was betrayed by the current queen 30 years ago. Varham survived thanks to Simog's abilities and swore revenge on the queen. He escapes us and we now have to find more Simorgh feathers before him in order to defeat him for good. We absorb our other self and gain the whip ability, which lets us grab and zip to different enemies and objects. This unlocked all the abilities in the game and I was on to completing all the missed areas and side quests. I went to the secret floor hidden between the lower city and the depths thanks to a key which I bought from the scrapper earlier, which unlocked an easy trophy. And boy, the parkour challenge here was super tough, but luckily also broken. Up next, in the Sacred Archive area, I defeated the jailer guy thanks to the clairvoyance ability, which unlocked another trophy. I forgot to mention earlier, it allows us to enter parallel dimension to fight off certain hidden enemies and reach hidden platforms. We unlock Spectre of Seas next for discovering the ghost ship randomly while falling from the hidden village area and landing on the ship in the Raging Sea area. Up next, we get True Moon for completing the Moon Guy's side quest and Tree of Life for discovering and talking to every Wak head in the game. We see the older Varham again, who's paying respect to his dead father. King Darius's corpse reanimates and tries to stop us and we have to fight him. This boss fight felt low-key like a Souls type fight. Defeating him gets us another trophy and the key to the Hall of Divination. Before proceeding with the final showdown against Varham, we unlocked Glory of Faravahar for fully upgrading the necklace and Kira's Last Hope for finding the herbalist's last camp. Varham destroys the whole timeline with his newfound godlike powers and we are given another opportunity thanks to Lord Simorgh for saving the kingdom. This boss is a true test of all the game mechanics and is again a super anime-like fight where Sargon goes Super Saiyan and beats him, unlocking the end of time. Varham finally accepts his mistake and sacrifices himself to revive the Simorgh. With the Simorgh returned, we go back to the kingdom with the prince, where the prince renounces his throne and we reveal the truth that the queen killed King Darius to the entire royal court. We leave the capital and the remaining two immortals promise to take care of the younger version of Varham that escaped Mount Qaf with them. Okay, so after finishing the main storyline of the game, we still had a total of 8 trophies remaining, which were Warrior Within, Written in the Sands, A Warrior's End, Charitable Soul, Blessing of Shamshir, Tools of a Prophet, Elixir of Gods, and that Shining Platinum. I quickly tried all the different Athra surges on different enemies, unlocking Warrior Within. Up next, I went to all the missed areas, completing different side quests and finding silver ingots for upgrading my weapons to the max level. Completing the Prophecy Wall quest unlocks Written in Sands. After taking care of all of Ardashir's men, we need to take care of him too, as he has become this zombie-like creature. Killing him completed the side quest and gets us A Warrior's End. Up next, I was back to completing the side quests and this final parkour challenge took some good time to get. Completing all the side quests unlocked Charitable Soul. Also, with this last quest, I had collected all the silver ingots which were needed for the final weapon upgrade and getting it unlocked Blessing of Shamshir. Up next, I was in search of all the missed amulets, of which there were luckily only 4. Getting all of them unlocked Tools of a Prophet. Finally, I only had one last challenge which was needed to be completed in order to get the final health upgrade. Completing it gets us Elixir of the Gods and that shiny platinum. The entire experience was of a good length, which was very unexpected for me and I loved every minute of it. As a fan of the Prince of Persia series, I would say that it's not a Prince of Persia game, as we don't really play as the prince. It kind of seems like that old idea from which Assassin's Creed was born, where we have to play as the assassin protecting the Prince of Persia. The story is pretty good but definitely not perfect, as I personally felt that some moments were rushed, like the ending, which got me confused as to what happened to the blue masked lady, as we never get to fight her. Also, it felt more like Ubisoft just wanted to use the Prince of Persia brand name to market this game. I mean, fair play, as I would have probably missed the game had it been called something else. Overall, I think it's an amazing game which just caught me by surprise. Moreover, it felt like a proper old school game with great mechanics, unlike most recent open world titles. Whether you are a Prince of Persia fan or not, I highly recommend checking it out, as it truly felt like a breath of fresh air. Okay, so if you have made it this far and enjoyed the video, it would be great if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, as it really motivates me to work harder and make more content. Any recommendations are welcome as always, and see you in the next video.